Hello, my inclusive community. My name is Demelza and I'm an educator, parent to a dyslexic child, and yes, I'm dyslexic myself. I created this space so we can come together, and parents and educators, or anyone navigating dyslexia, to share our journeys and support one another. Okay, so a little bit about me. I was diagnosed with dyslexia late in life and while I was in a university. So when my child started showing similar signs, struggling in spelling, mixing up left and right, and skipping words while reading, I knew it was time to get her assessed. At the time she was in year 4, that's around 8 or 9 years old for any non-UK viewers. I approached her teacher with my concerns, but the response shocked me. They said that she had been tested, and by tested, they meant they tested her on words like cat and hat, and because she knew those words, they said she didn't have dyslexia. So I went to the GP, and again I was dismissed. I was told that if a teacher hadn't flagged it up, then there was nothing to worry about. It was an uphill battle, as I'm sure many of you can appreciate. Eventually, I connected with a specialist teacher, someone I had worked with who volunteered to assess her, and just before she sat her GCSEs, which is age 15 for non-UK viewers. It wasn't until then, years later, that she was finally diagnosed and the support she needed for her extra time in her exams. So I know not every parent has access to a specialist teacher or an educational psychologist. For many, it's a heartbreaking struggle watching your child fall behind and not being believed. This experience is why I'm so passionate about early diagnosis and proper support for children. And it's a big part of what I want to address with the Lex Inclusive program in the future. Now, what should you look for to indicate signs of dyslexia in your child? First, it's important to say that dyslexia looks different for everybody, but there are some common signs that can be seen in quite a few people. So first of all, we have slow reading. So reading that's just a bit slower than their peers. Poor letter recognition. They could be mixing up B's and D's. Inconsistent or poor spelling. So not just misspelling the odd word, but consistently poor spelling. My daughter also struggled with this, and she was in a school where they like to do regular spelling tests, and so this increased their anxiety. That's another sign. A noticeable gap between what they can say and what they can write. They could be quite articulate in their speaking, and when it comes to write something, it looks like a different person. Trouble with organisation. A difficulty memorising words, that's something I also struggle with. Before jumping to conclusions, always rule out eyesight issues as well. I just got my daughter's eye tested before I went through the process of finding out whether or not it's dyslexia. If your child shows more than a few of these signs consistently, then you need to speak to your school SENCO, that's the Special Educational Needs Coordinator. And don't give up, be your child's advocate. Schools should provide support based on their observations, but as I've shared with you, it's not always the case. So it's up to parents to push until we're heard. The good news is that there's a big push from the government to set aside money for improving teacher training in identifying specific learning difficulties like dyslexia. Hopefully in the near future, we have the proper support put in place early on. So to support you on this journey, I've created a free ebook, and it's all about the 5 pillars of literacy and how you can support your child with this at home. You just click on the link and it'll go straight into your inbox, and just remember that you're not alone in this. Together we can make a real difference.